When Congresswoman Lucy McBath asked one simple question about FBI domestic terrorism records, she exposed something that would destroy Kash Patel's credibility in real time. What started as routine oversight became a devastating takedown as McBath methodically dismantled the FBI director's claims with hard evidence. Patel's defensive explosion revealed exactly what Americans feared about politicized law enforcement.
It's back. The gentlelady from Georgia is recognized.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you for coming in today, Mr. Patel. In the past few months, the country has experienced a string of horrific, high-profile attacks that have been motivated by racial hatred or political ideology. A shooter attacked the CDC headquarters, firing hundreds of rounds and killing a police officer. An arsonist set fire to the Pennsylvania governor, Josh Shapiro's residence, with the governor and his family actually inside. Minnesota House Speaker Melissa Hortman and her husband were assassinated earlier this year. Clark and Charlie Kirk was murdered last week. Bomb threats have been made against HBCUs and the DNC, and just the list goes on and on. I only have just a few minutes today, so I don't want to take a lot of time to go into all the countless and devastating violent crimes and incidents that have happened at our schools or on our streets and in our communities that have just been happening all year long. Mr. Patel, just yes or no, is this type of political violence ever acceptable in your eyes?
No.
I'm glad that we agree that these heinous acts designed to instill fear and division in our nation are never, ever acceptable, yet each of these incidents has recently taken place under your watch. The FBI's website states that protecting the United States from terrorist acts is the FBI's #1 priority, including from domestic terrorists. Is this still your #1 priority?
Domestic terrorism?
Preventing domestic terrorism.
Our #1 priorities are protecting the homeland and international terrorism and crushing violent crime, and domestic terrorism sort of interlays between both of those.
Okay, so well, then I'm glad that you're giving us the right answer, but unfortunately, your actions kind of tell a different story. Earlier this year, you granted the ranks of the FBI's Domestic Terrorism Operations Section. This is the section of the FBI that is most directly responsible for addressing political violence in our country by preventing attacks from occurring and effectively responding to them if they do. The agents in this section are the ones who stopped an individual stockpiling weapons, who planned to attack schools and churches in Florida and seized bombs made by an ISIS sympathizer in New Orleans. And instead of ensuring that this section has all the resources that it needs at a time when its mission is critical, you fired its decorated veteran FBI agents who have served their country proudly under Republican and both Democratic presidents, and you scrapped the tools that they developed to fight domestic terrorism, including the National Domestic Terrorism Incident Database.
I mean, most of that is just not true. We have 1,700 current DT managed programs. We're up 300% in the amount of cases we brought against nihilistic, violent extremists, including 764, wishing to harm our children. The FBI and the men and women are getting after that problem set more than ever because I've unleashed them to do so. And any situation that these tragic occurrences across the country are somehow singularly my fault or disgusting because that watershed goes
Mr.
down to the
Patel,
men
I'm
and
going to
women at the
reclaim my time.
FBI,
Mr. Patel,
and they
I'm
are
going to
not
reclaim my time.
responsible
Mr.
for it.
Chairman,
I'm
I'd
happy
like
to work with you to get them what they need.
Gentlelady controls the time. Unanimous consent request. She'll state a request.
Thank you very much. Into the record, an article from Reuters titled FBI Scales Back Staffing, Tracking of Domestic Terrorism, Probes Sources Say. Thank you very much.
Without objection.
I appreciate that. So, Mr. Patel, and it isn't just the domestic terrorism operations section. Under your watch, agents are fully diverting their attention to these anti-immigrant and city takeover operations, leaving our children vulnerable to dangerous networks of online predators, both domestic and international. You pulled more than 120 FBI agents from their normal duties to operate sobriety checks and conduct traffic stops, exposing the FBI's fleet of unmarked cars and thereby making it harder for the FBI to combat violent criminal gangs, foreign intelligence services, and drug traffickers in the process.
That's simply not true. If we were not able to do two things at one time, how would we be
Patel, I
seizing
reclaim
record
my
amounts of
time. I reclaim my
fentanyl?
time.
23,000
Chairman, I'd like to
violent
enter
felons have been
into the
arrested.
Time belongs to the gentlelady.
More than twice as many as
Consent
Time
last
belongs to
year.
the gentlelady from Georgia.
Thank you very much. And this request basically is, it is an article from Reuters, which quotes law enforcement officers familiar with agents who once covered child exploitation cases, but now focus on immigration child exclusive. Thousands of agents diverted to Trump immigration track down. Mr. Patel, in the short time I have left, your tenure as director of FBI has been somewhat problematic. Americans are left definitely less safe under your watch. You have gutted the FBI's ability to keep safe from domestic terrorism. You have sent FBI agents to conduct traffic stops and round up hardworking immigrants who pose no danger to public safety. People even President Trump referred to as good, long-time workers. Your job is to protect and serve the American public.
Time to the
You have
gentlelady.
spent your time protecting heinous individuals and using the FBI to serve as a political circus. You at times have appeared unequipped,
Time
and
to
this
the
country
gentlelady has
deserves better, and
expired.
I yield.
Gentlelady yields
May I
back.
respond?
Sure can.
Simply put, what is it? Are we failing? If we're failing, how are we arresting 23,000 violent felons? Twice as many as this time last year. Are we failing? Because if we're failing, how are we seizing 1,500 kilograms of meth, 25% increase from last year? Are we failing? Because we captured 4 top 10 FBI most wanted from around the world in 7 months. That's more than the entirety of the last administration. Are we failing? Because we put 1,500 child predators in prison. Are we failing? Because we dismantled 300 human trafficking networks. Which is it? You don't like me, that's fine. But don't you dare disparage the men and women of the FBI that are producing record results in historic fashion to protect this country. They are kicking ass for America, and they're going to continue to do so.
And we appreciate your leadership. The gentlelady from Florida is recognized.
What Congresswoman McBath did in those 8 minutes wasn't just oversight. It was a masterclass in exposing institutional failure through methodical questioning. She built an airtight case that revealed how political priorities had compromised the FBI's core mission. McBath's strategy was surgical. She opened with undisputed facts about recent domestic terrorist attacks, forcing Patel to acknowledge that political violence is unacceptable. CDC headquarters attacked, Pennsylvania Governor Shapiro's residence set on fire with his family inside. Minnesota House Speaker Melissa Hortman assassinated. Each incident represented a failure of the very system Patel claimed to be strengthening. Then she used his own words against him, citing the FBI's stated #1 priority of preventing terrorist acts. By establishing these baseline agreements, she created a framework where any teen under's deviation would be impossible to defend. The devastating blow came with documented evidence. McBath introduced Reuters reporting that showed the FBI had scaled back its domestic terrorism operations under Patel's leadership. These were sources from law enforcement officers describing how agents, previously focused on child exploitation and domestic terrorism, were reassigned to immigration enforcement. She didn't make vague claims about mismanagement. She cited specific reporting describing exact operational changes. The domestic terrorism incident database scrapped, decorated veteran agents fired, tools developed over years abandoned. Patel's defensive response revealed everything. Rather than addressing the specific allegations, he deflected to arrest statistics. His emotional outburst about kicking ass for America demonstrated exactly the problem McBath was highlighting. His statistics actually proved McBath's point. High arrest numbers mean nothing if you're catching the wrong people while missing real threats. Patel bragged about traffic stops, while domestic terrorists planned attacks with reduced surveillance. The core issue McBath exposed goes beyond personnel decisions. She revealed a fundamental misunderstanding of law enforcement priorities. Moving 120 FBI agents from counterterrorism and criminal investigations to conduct traffic stops and sobriety checkpoints represents a categorical failure to understand the Bureau's mission. Local police handle traffic enforcement. Federal agents investigate complex criminal networks, foreign intelligence operations, and domestic terrorism. McBath's reference to exposing unmarked FBI vehicles during immigration operations highlighted another institutional breakdown. The FBI's effectiveness depends on Operational security, when agents who should be investigating organized crime or counterintelligence threats are instead conducting visible enforcement operations, you compromise ongoing investigations and waste specialized resources. The human cost became clear in McBath's documentation. While agents conducted immigration sweeps, online predator networks operated with reduced federal oversight. Domestic terrorists had more space to plan attacks. International criminal organizations faced less sophisticated opposition. These aren't abstract policy disagreements. They're operational choices that directly impact public safety. Patel's final outburst proved McBath's point better than any prepared statement could have. His conflation of personal criticism with institutional critique showed exactly why independent oversight matters. When law enforcement leaders view accountability as personal attacks, they stop distinguishing between their own interests and institutional integrity. The broader implications extend beyond one hearing or one director. McBath demonstrated how political pressure can reshape law enforcement priorities in ways that compromise core missions. When federal resources get diverted from complex investigations to visible enforcement actions, you're prioritizing optics over effectiveness. This hearing revealed the price of politicized law enforcement. Career agents see their expertise wasted on tasks outside their training. Criminal networks adapt to reduced pressure. Communities lose protection from threats that only federal resources can address effectively. McBath's questioning offers a template for institutional accountability. Document the mission. Cite the evidence. Let officials explain the contradictions. When they can't, their response tells the story better than any accusation could.